It's time to get some SportSense. You're gonna get some SportSense. You better get ready for SportSense. SportSense.
Welcome back to SportSense. This is the show where we break down sports news for sports noobs. This is season 2, episode 24. I'm Cooper Epps, and since I don't know jack diddly about sports, I've got my dad here, James Epps. How's it going, Dad?
Good, Coop. Excited. It's going to be a great time tonight.
Oh, yeah. This is our big Super Bowl prep episode. This is what inspired the podcast in the first place, because every year the Super Bowl would come around. I kept calling Dad, and he would just be like, I can't tell you a whole football season in 5 minutes or a whole legacy of whatever team that was playing. So this is really the pinnacle of our podcast right here. Remember, we do chapter the episodes. If you go into the show notes, you can click on the time codes there to jump straight to whatever topic you're most interested in. So with that, Dad, why don't we get into a little traditional mailbag to start off our episode tonight?
That sounds good. What do we got?
Okay. Well, the first one is from you. You told me this off the air right before this.
Because it was a doozy.
So funny. So here, you tell it. Remember because you didn't even know the guy's name, but this guy's name is Gerald Miller, and he's a boxer. So sorry, tell us what happened to Gerald.
He had 2 big boxers. I mean, they look like heavyweights boxing. And the one guy, all of a sudden you see it slow-mo. He hits him in the face, a little uppercut, jaw, but
just a little uppercut.
His glove followed through and caught his forehead.
Oh, glanced. Okay.
Glanced to caught his forehead. And then you see a black wig, toupee peel back about 3/4 off the back of it, flops to the back of his head. And it's not a little bald, it's all bald, but you see the black makeup trim around it,
like the
circle.
Seam.
Yeah, the seam, whatever you call it. So you see it so clearly, and then it kind of flops back forward while they're still boxing. I mean, and it was weird and ugly and crazy. And anyway, so they showed it at 2 angles. And my thought was, you're a big bad boxer. To me, you look cool just to
right.
I mean, he is so bald. Shave it a little bit and make it that shiny, tough, cool looking bald head and get after it. I just thought he's in the wrong profession to do a toupee that's glued on your head, right?
Right.
I mean, I think that's a given. Right. So that was
if you're gonna do it,
tickled me for the day. I thought, oh my gosh! And then you read the follow up on it.
Yeah, well, and if you're gonna do it, get plugs or whatever,
that's what I mean.
So it can't be punched off.
Could
maybe
you
he's just not making enough money quite yet? I don't know.
Be a boxer and do that. I just don't get it. It's one thing if you're a librarian and you're just sitting there, you don't move your head all day, hardly. You know,
right. Well, we talked earlier. I think it was last season. The NBA player who,
that's what made me think of
a guy.
It.
Yeah, and he got his fake hairspray, not hairspray, but a painted hairdo, it brushed off onto a guy's jersey. So gross. But yeah, if you're an elite athlete, you're doing great. You can have anyone you want, and you look great. We all think very highly of you aesthetically. So just lean into the baldness if you're bald. All right? That's our advice. But
you said, the boxer, what you tell the rest of the story.
Yeah, he did lean into it. So it says he finished the round with the hairpiece flopping around, and then it says between rounds he ripped it off in his corner and tossed it into the crowd. This was in Madison Square Garden, huge venue, obviously. And it says he went on to win by split decision, and he rubbed the top of his head while doing a celebratory dance, is what this article says. So
maybe he now will lean into the baldness. Maybe he'll let it go.
Oh, you know what? Okay, this is crazy. We're getting too in the weeds with this story, but he said in the ring afterward that he lost his hair a couple days earlier after using a bottle of shampoo he found at his mother's house that was quote, ammonium bleach. So he's... So it sounds like some crazy mishap happened at his mom's house. And he was just trying to cover up for the fight.
Sure. Blame it on your mother. Blame it on your mother. That's terrible. Throw your mother under the bus.
So anyways, Gerald Miller, he's a boxer. I guess we're going to have to keep an eye out on.
Gerald probably
now,
spent a
but-
lot of money for that temporary repair, and that's probably what upset him
Right.
the most.
It's an expensive Band-Aid. Well, it
Yes.
sounds like he leaned
All right.
into it and had a good time.
Fun times.
Okay, just a couple fun little things. Zach messaged me to remind me that he sent me pictures of Drake May, who we'll talk about who Drake May is in a few minutes here, if you don't know who that is. But he was playing middle school football when Zach and I were roommates in college at college in 2015. So anyways, that made me feel old today.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
let's get into, let me talk Olympics. We mentioned it a little bit last week. Some of the American athletes that are going to be in the Olympics, the Winter Olympics coming up this weekend. So you can go back and listen to that clip if you're interested. There's people like Chloe Kim, who's like rock star snowboarder, who I'm super excited to see how she does. But wanted to bring up for this week, just one last update before the Olympics start this Friday, February 6th. Lindsey Vonn, who is someone that's new to me. I'm sure I'd seen her name in headlines, but didn't really know her. She is a 41-year-old mega ski star. And, she's dated Tiger Woods. She carries more World Cup titles, I guess they call them in skiing, and trophies than any woman ever, and more than every man ever, except for one. So she is known as the Queen of Skiing. She, at 41 years old, is returning to the Olympics. She had retired 6 years ago after just a number of knee injuries. Anyways, I guess there were some races leading up to the Olympics the past couple weeks, and she got injured. She injured her knee in one of those just a few days ago. And so supposedly the word is that she is planning to still compete in the Milano Cortina Games. And so anyways, keep an eye out on Lindsey. I suspect she will. I don't know. She is older. I think it's enough of a feat that she's come out of retirement at this age and is doing Olympic level skiing. That's cool enough on its own and probably reward enough on its own. But I suspect she won't be like the champ, but we'll see. I don't know. Prove me wrong. I'd love to.
Well, first of all, I feel like I failed you here. How did you not know Lindsey Vonn? In fact, you and I were talking about his background, and Mom in the background said something like, "She's still skiing." Oh my gosh! So Mom knows her, and has a good history of knowing how long she's been skiing. So I don't know how you missed out on Lindsey Vonn. I mean,
there's
because more than just the skiing, like you said, she became. How's the wording?
A star
throughout the world, right? Throughout the world. And her social life became a big deal for a lot of years. She was all sorts of shows and such, but she was a beast. It's a downhill skier. Those are the ones that get 80, 90 miles an hour, and they're it's unbelievable.
Just bomb. They bomb the hills, basically.
Yeah, just her make the Olympic team again is phenomenal, because you have to score, you have to place in certain. That's why you're running all those races beforehand. You have to get enough points, to qualify. And so that's what she was doing. Yeah, it was a pretty bad crash. I don't know if you saw it. I saw the replay.
It's funny because it kind of just looks like she slid, but I guess at that speed, like anything like that, and that speed combined with any weird twist of the knee, I'm sure can hurt it. I say bad crash.
There's been a lot worse, but she. In her situation, her age, her circumstance, she took a good tumble again.
It's how you can't look away from a train wreck, and sometimes you even want to go watch a train wreck when you hear about it. Like the sick side of me wanted to see a skier just tumbling, just somersaults down a mountain. But anyways, real life usually isn't like that, and you hope it's not like that. Obviously,
there's plenty of footage out there, plenty of skiers who've got some big.
I can scratch that itch.
Most of them nowadays get caught in a net. There's a netting, right, that's going to catch you.
Okay.
So it's going to keep them from going off the side of the mountain or whatever. So
good.
But that can hurt you too, because you can get caught up with your skis all, and then you have to watch some of the safety netting. Yeah, that's some pretty wild.
I know training. They usually go into pools, right? They just jump into pools. I don't know.
That's
the
ski jumping. Yeah, that's the ski jumping.
Oh, okay.
This is downhill slalom, or downhill, just as hard as you can bomb.
Is this just hitting top speed? Is that the competition?
Oh, and going around the flags. Skiing? It depends if it's which event it is, but you have flag posts along the way. You got to hit inside, outside. You got to go in between them, and if you miss one, you're out. You're disqualified, DQ'd on that. Oh yeah, that's about one of my favorite events for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it the giant slalom and the slalom, and
yeah,
pretty cool.
You know, I was reading about an old ski event. Have you heard of skijoring?
Only because I saw it recently again. Is it come back or not? I can't remember.
No, because is
it something going on in Utah now? Right? Is it?
No,
is there
it's like it's a really old event. Like they got it out like last century at some point.
Yeah,
but it was like rifle shooting while skiing, like crazy. Or no, it's not.
It's the horse. No, what is it? It's
it's
crazy.
where you're pulled by horses, I believe.
Yeah,
it's like that's what it is. It's like water skiing when you're towed by a boat, but you're pulled by horses.
Yeah. and I really do think there's something I saw on Deseret News. I swear there's somebody they're doing that. There's like a club or something.
I'm sure some crazy people are trying to bring it back.
Yeah,
that's anyway, so funny.
That's what anyway. So recently.
Okay, so sorry about, but I did read something about rifle shooting combined with skiing. That was also like a really old original Winter Olympic sport. So, okay, sorry. Thanks for getting distracted with me for a minute. But yeah, Lindsey Vonn. And again, I asked Macy. I said, "Hey, what do you know about Lindsey Vonn?" She said, "Who?" So
she's so young, I guess. I don't know.
That's the thing is we're not even that young, like we established earlier in the episode. So I think it's interesting. Like I think a lot of people don't know her. So I wanted to bring her up because there's like a whole other half of the population that seems to be like, oh my gosh, Lindsey Vonn's coming back to the Olympics and super exciting and a big deal. So I wanted to make sure you fellow sports noobs, were aware of her, and because you're going to see her in some headlines, I'm sure. So, okay. That is all I had about Winter Olympics. Did you have any other notes before we get into that?
Nope. Just get ready for they always make a big deal of the opening ceremonies. So sometimes that's really cool. And for me, I'm very prideful about our Olympic teams in the past. And I love to see the athletes walk in with our flag. And excuse
me. Do you get teared up at all?
Not on that part, much pride? But I do. Maybe not on opening ceremonies. Definitely do on some of the events, and some of them on the podium, and they raise the flag and play the national anthem. There's definitely plenty over the years that I get pretty fired up and choked up about. So, but not opening ceremonies generally. But I do like to see our huge contingent that we always have. Especially in the summer games, but in both Olympics.
How long do these go for, by the way? The Winter Olympics,
like 2.5 weeks or something. Maybe it's definitely covers 2 full weekends.
Okay,
and so it's a good 2.5 weeks or so is what I remember, somewhere around that range.
So yeah, we'll do a good episode or two about those. That'll be fun.
We get past the Super Bowl. Yeah, next we'd have Super Bowl, and then there'll be plenty of time for us to do one more. I think.
Okay,
might be the wrap up of it or whatever. But
cool. All right. Well, let's. Hey, we're not here for the Olympics. This is the Super Bowl prep episode. We're going to talk about the two teams that are in this year's Super Bowl and a little bit of the backstory on coaches, quarterbacks, and so forth. But first, we've got to get into some sports speak. Let us learn some sports speak. In less than a week, you guys are probably all going to be invited to hang out with family, friends, neighbors. This is one of the biggest events of the year. We really should have the day off work, the Monday following Super Bowl, don't you think, Dad? To recover?
There has definitely been some pushes with that, even some sort of bills in Congress or state laws.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's been kind of joking, but serious at the same time, trying to get it to be a holiday, to have the post day.
Wow. Which holiday would you switch out for it if you had to swap one?
Nah, don't ask me that.
Don't.
You'll have to edit that too.
Too edgy of a question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dad, I need you to teach me how to use some of these terms in a sentence here. So we're gonna give them. By the way, I got to cut you off right here. So let's start. I started thinking about this, and we'll cover these items, these terms, but let's begin at the beginning for people who are trying to blend in. So your title is great. How to blend in. Let's start at the beginning. They need to know where the Super Bowl is taking place. So do you know? Okay.
What city?
It's in California, San Francisco.
Okay. San Francisco.
Right.
And what
Okay.
team plays in that stadium?
49ers.
Easy. There you go. So that to me is really important, right? If you're really trying to blend in, and this might be a
Yeah.
joke to people who follow sports all the time, but that's not our audience generally, right? So
Yeah.
do know it's being held in San Francisco. That's a big deal.
Why,
And
why is that a big deal?
no, it's a big deal to know wherever the Super Bowl is being played that year.
Mm.
You
Okay.
just need
Just
to know.
to speak intelligently.
Yeah, because you
Okay.
could be in New Orleans, you could be in Miami, you could be some of the big venues. They're always going to be one of those big venues like that have the best stadiums, the best
Okay.
weather.
I
LA,
wouldn't-
right? SoFi
Okay.
Stadium.
I wouldn't think that would come up in conversation much, though. Like,
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, they make a big deal of it too for the week before, all the festivities and activities, everything has a lot to do with the host city. So I think it's
interesting.
I think they should, believe me. Someone should know before they go to a Super Bowl party where the Super Bowl is. So it makes
Okay.
sense, right? Especially when all the pregame stuff shows shots of the city, shows shots
Okay.
of the highlight. It makes sense, right?
I'm kind of surprised they don't, kind of like with the Olympics, like Utah 2034 Olympics, the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. Like I'm kind of surprised they don't do like Super Bowl San Francisco or something, like, because it seems like it is a big deal, and that'd be kind of cool if
They do.
if the city kind of came around it.
Yeah. Well, it's anyway. So that's just, sorry. I just think that's, trust me,
Okay.
nothing would make me crazier if somebody came and they didn't even know where the Super Bowl was this year, right? Or what number it is, 60. So Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. All right.
Well, Dad's not interested, but let me know if you like my idea of branding Super Bowls with the cities that they're hosted in.
Well, I think they yeah. They do that in their own way. They most certainly market it. They do market it for sure for all the attendees and a lot of the specials that get put on. All right. So
it's
good.
also side note is that it's also like the most bet upon sporting event of the year, right?
Yes, I think I
that.
saw the number. They estimated this year is going to be $1.7 billion.
Oh my gosh.
I think it might be 1.9 now. I don't know what they're estimating. Somewhere around that range.
Crazy. For one
1.7.
event, that's insane.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
crazy. It's watched worldwide now. Yep. All right.
Okay.
Sports speak.
Okay. Yeah. So there's just a few terms I've heard, this past season watching with friends and family that I feel too shy to use in a sentence myself because I know that they know that I'm not that sporty. But I think some of you could get away with throwing out these terms in a conversation. And so, Dad, help us out here. So the first one is just TD. TD is simply short for touchdown, if you haven't heard that. But it gets kind of thrown out so fast in a sentence, especially somebody like
really
you.
Does. Yeah.
TD, like it's a very quick, easy thing to say. And it can be easy to miss.
See that. So yes.
I don't know what kind of sentence do you catch yourself using this term mostly in?
I guess, if you're watching a play and all of a sudden, what I'll say a lot, I'm sure it goes, man, they have got to get a TD on this series. They have got to have a TD this quarter. They've got to go.
Okay.
I mean, something like that. Got to get a TD. Got to get there.
So, okay. So it's, if somebody runs into the end zone with the ball, they get a touchdown. Do you ever say, "Oh, they got a TD. Let's go"? Or do you just say TD? Woo!
I might say touchdown too. I don't know. I just, what I'll say a lot with that. I know when I see that, I say, "Oh, they scored." That's what I'll say a lot of times.
Okay.
When they scored, but I might say, "Oh, they need to score, or they need a TD bad, not a field goal or something." That'd be part of this natural discussion, right? Let's say they're driving, they're down by 10 points. And they've been all they've been doing is kicking field goals because they couldn't get in the end zone, right? So I'll say, man, they need a TD bad this time. They cannot settle for a field goal. They got to have a TD. Does that make sense? I like
that line. Yeah, I'm going to be prepared to use that one. I like that. Yeah. It's you sound like you're really contributing to the conversation with that, but it doesn't take much mental effort, which is nice.
No, because that's why I can do it so well.
Like
that's right. It doesn't take so much mental effort. All right, so that's the easy one, but that is one you got to pay attention to. Yeah.
Okay, the next one I've heard a lot. And instead of calling something an interception, you say that the ball was picked off or the quarterback was picked off, right? I don't know. Do you have any expounding on there?
No, but that's where it comes, where you already covered once. This is where it comes from, the pick six. The pick six.
Okay.
Remember we talked about that. Pick
That's
six
where you
is
intercept, run it for a touchdown, right?
right. So it's from that word, right? Picked off. It's been picked off.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just I don't know
Picked
who
off.
started that decades ago, but it's it's been around my whole life of hearing someone, an errant pass or a bad pass or a great play on the defensive end, picked
off the ball.
Yeah,
Do you pick off the ball or the quarterback?
It's the quarterback pretty much got picked off. Yeah,
The quarterback got picked off.
Yeah, but you don't even say that. You say, "Oh man, he threw a pick or he was picked off." So
okay. So the quarterback was picked off.
Yes,
you don't pick off the quarterback. Okay, interesting.
Yes, because he's throwing it and he got picked. His ball did not get where it's supposed to be. It was picked off.
Okay.
But
Cool,
picked off. That's a good one. That's a good one for people.
Yeah, that helps. That's a very colloquial one that I haven't been confident enough to say when I'm in this context. So thank you.
Or if you see a crazy play and it looks like you can't tell if the receiver, this is where you get real comfortable. The receiver or the defender called it. You say, "Oh, was that a pick? Was that a pick?" You shorten it and just say, "Was that a pick?"
Yeah.
Is that a pick?
Cool.
Oh my gosh, they can't throw a pick. So they say that more than having a long sentence of saying, "Was he picked off?" The pick, don't do that. So I would say a pick is more used more than anything almost. Pick six or a pick.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yeah. I'll stick to picks. Yeah. Another term I hear a lot of people use is yardage. Everybody's talking about yardage. What exactly, in the simplest of terms, is yardage, would you say?
Well, the entire field is made up of 100 yards. Yardage is just how many yards. And now how many yards for a first down? Or man, he's killing it. He has run for 80. They don't say this; they say 86 yards, right? So yardage. Yeah, that's like not used near as much.
Okay. You don't think that's used very much in a conversation?
Not as much as yards. I don't think. I'm trying to think. So
because I feel like I've heard people say I've never seen this much yardage from a quarterback before or something like that. Like would somebody say that?
Yeah. They say yards mostly.
I have definitely heard the yardage.
I'm trying to think of when. Yeah, I mean, I do too, but I don't. It's not yards comes to me a lot more.
Okay. Yardage. Is yardage just kind of a fancy way of saying yards?
Yeah.
Is that just is that just kind of whatever you pick? Potato, maybe?
Yeah, it eats up a lot of yardage when he runs with the ball.
Oh, okay. I have heard that sentence. Yeah.
It's things like that. But
so
so you got it. It's all about the distance achieved.
So they're eating up a lot of yardage when they are doing these passing plays.
And some people will say yards. So they say yards or yardage. It depends who the announcer is.
It's like brothers or brethren, kind of both work.
Yeah, they both will work. So that's good.
Interesting. All right. I feel a little muddy on that. So, leave a comment on this episode if you've got some more clarity there. Okay. This one's easy. Red zone.
Yeah, it's considered from the if you are you're going into the opposing team's territory, that's across the 50-yard line, heading towards their end zone because you want to score in their end zone. Once you get 20 yards in, from 20 yards in towards their end zone, that's the red zone from 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way to their end zone.
20 yards or closer to the opposing team's end zone
is the red zone.
Is the red zone. The red zone. Is it that team's red zone? Like, would you say it's, in this case, Seattle's the Patriots are in Seattle's red zone?
No, people kind of know on offense if you've got the ball and you're driving to their end zone, you say, Seattle's zone. I mean, you can say, they're in the red zone.
Patriots in the red zone. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even established that. If you didn't know, well, yeah. Okay.
We're
Seattle
talk about the teams.
Is playing New England, Seahawks versus Patriots.
We're going to talk all about that real quick.
But we'll get there. Okay.
Yep. So that's red zone. Yep.
Last thing is line of scrimmage.
Now, to me, that would seem to be confusing for a lot of those who don't pay close attention. So that's a good one you came up with. So line of scrimmage,
the easy definition there.
Yeah, is determined if you look on the field, look where the referee or the umpire places the ball down after the end of a play. Wherever he places the ball down, draw from the center of that ball, draw an imaginary line from sideline to sideline. Especially where all the linemen. That's the line of scrimmage.
For the next play.
Yep. So you're on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage and offense on offensive. But that line of scrimmage is determined where the ball is placed. That's the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's it. It's just where that ball is placed, draw a line out. That's the line of scrimmage. So a lot of things control that. That controls a lot of things. Defense, you cannot be caught in what they call the neutral zone. In other words, you can't, there's, I don't know what the rule is. How many, is it 1 foot back or I don't know. There's a small distance away from that line of scrimmage, that imaginary line. You've got to be, you cannot put your hand in the ground. You got to be behind that line of scrimmage.
Okay.
Right. If you're on the defense,
there's a thickness to the line.
So if you get fooled and faked and you jump just a little early and they snap the ball and you've crossed that imaginary line, and you're going to be, you're on offsides, right? There'll be a penalty offsides.
Yeah.
Same thing. An offensive player jumps or does that's another penalty.
Okay. So
that's
defense,
the line of scrimmage.
Defense, if they jump early and break that line of scrimmage, that's offsides. Offense, if they do that, that's called a false start, right?
Yes, exactly. And the big difference of those two, now we're getting really a little bit, now we're going into year 2 of our studies here. If that happens on defense, you jump off, a quarterback sees that and clearly sees a defender offside, and he even sees the flag, that the play continues, and they call it a free play. Quarterback will generally throw a bomb downfield, right? He'll try to get the deepest play. Yeah, because if it's incomplete or even an interception, it's going to get called back, and it's a penalty against the defense, and you accept that penalty and move it 5 yards forward. It's called a free play for offense. Offensive guard or lineman jumps, and that's a false start. The play is dead.
Okay.
The play is just dead. They blow the whistle, and the penalty's against you, and you back up 5 yards.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's a familiar, that concept's in other games and sports.
But the line of scrimmage, though, that is the line of scrimmage. It's real simple. Wherever that ball sets, that's where it is.
Yeah. It's like in basketball. Yeah. I can't remember. It's like if the offensive player gets fouled, but they're going up for a shot, it does. And if they score, that doesn't, they get fouled and they get their score.
Yeah.
Then, okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. That was some sports speak to get you ready for Super Bowl 60. And we're going to now get into some cool, the story. Who are the people behind the goofy, NFL mascots that we've all come to know and love? In this case, it is the Seahawks from Seattle versus the Patriots hailing from New England. This is Super Bowl 60. And Dad, I've got a few questions for you about this.
Well, why don't you go with that? Yeah, you do that. I've got plenty to discuss. So you ask questions, then let me know when you want me to.
Well, tell me really
take off.
Really, first off, how are you feeling about this one? Are you more or less excited for this game than the average Super Bowl for you?
I'm probably more excited because foundationally, let's go ahead and get this bit of information out. These two teams did not make the playoffs last year. In fact, New England was 4-13. They won 4 games and lost 13 last year. They fired their coach, even though Drake May was with them. We'll go over him in a minute. Seahawks were 10-7, but did not make the playoffs. They fired their coach after their end of their season and got rid of their quarterback. So there's lots of changes. So it's new blood. I think that's the fun part. And I've got I'll tell you why, but there's a distinct connection to one of the most famous players that's going to be playing in this, and that's Drake May. We'll talk about it. Connection to the state of North Carolina with some really good, backstory here and tidbits here, a little bit backstory, especially. So I'm excited. So I'm really excited. And cool. I think, and then there's a redemption story on the Seattle side. So to me, it's got everything.
Wow. It's pretty amazing to hear that. So both of these teams have made extreme turnarounds just in 1 year.
Correct. It seems really impossible, but they did. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And as we know, the Chiefs dynasty has totally crumbled this season. We'll see. We'll see next year. But yeah, so a lot of people have been talking about that, especially in context of the Patriots. I've seen a lot of memes where people are talking about how easy of a road the Patriots have had, especially with the Chiefs falling apart, I guess. Anyways,
well, part of that is correct, and we can talk about that. But the Patriots they did have the easiest, as it turned out, regular season schedule. but
Yeah.
but they have not had the easiest playoff schedule.
Okay.
They've had to be on the
They've
road.
earned their place in the playoffs.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. But go ahead. What other
Okay.
questions you have? Because I'll feed in all the info. I'm ready for you.
Yeah, let's just start with the basics. So we know that these teams now we know they've both had really rapid turnarounds recently, but in their franchise history, how many times has each team won the Super Bowl?
Great. Well, Patriots are most well known, so they've won 6, and they are tied at the top with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting enough, they won 6. This is a great team I grew up with. They won their 6 between 1975. They won like 4 in the 70s, and then they won another one in a couple in 2000s, well, 2009. So from 75 to 2009, they won their 6, and Pittsburgh hasn't won any since. New England, now listen, this is fascinating to me. It's like New England for that period of Tom Brady and Belichick. It's like for a period of time, almost they won every other year, it seemed like. They won 2002, 2004, skipped a year in 2004, 2005, back-to-back, 2015, 2017, 2019. So all but one back-to-back, they won every other year. So they've won 6. So if they win this, they will be the NFL leader of all time, having 7. So they will, go past Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh doesn't look like it's going to be threatening anytime soon. They still continue to struggle. Seahawks have won 1. They have won 1. They won. It was mostly a defensive great game and offense, but 2014, their defense was named the Legion of Doom. What a great name, huh? Legion, actually, it's Legion of Boom. Legion of Boom. Legion of Boom. That was their name. They were a great defense. And that was the first year. Do you remember when Peyton Manning was traded over he finished his career with the Colts and traded to Denver?
I was not paying attention by that point, but
right,
I know of the Mannings. Yeah.
The first year he made it to Super Bowl the first year, but they lost to Seattle 43-8. I mean, it was just humiliating for Peyton. But Peyton comes back and still wins one the next year or the year after with Denver.
Okay.
So anyway, so that was it. But they should have won 2. But by the way, Seattle should have won 2, and Patriots should have won 1 less. That was the next year after Seattle won 2014, crushing win. They go all the way back to Super Bowl the second year, and they should have won back-to-back. It's one of the most crazy plays, frustrating plays for any Seattle fan. In fact, they might punch you if you bring it up. And the Patriots just laugh. They think Seattle had a running back. Oh my gosh, he could run through anything. They had the ball on like the 3-yard line with 2 or 3 first down, second down maybe. And all they basically had to do was punch it in for a touchdown. I said that, and they would have won that Super Bowl. They would have locked it. I mean, and it was down to just a few seconds.
And was this
they were down?
Patriots?
Yes, against the Patriots.
Oh, okay.
And the crazy thing is, all of a sudden, Wilson was their quarterback, and the play came in, I guess, and he did what he told. They threw a short little pass.
Oh,
and there's there's no need to. They had a guaranteed touchdown running the ball, and a not a very famous defender for the Patriots jumped right in front and intercepted the ball, and that was the game. That was the Super Bowl.
Just to hear about it,
Brady and that group pulled off so it really should be 5 wins. Patriots, 2 wins, Seattle. But that's a dark part of the history. So Seattle really would like to.
There's a bit of bad blood between these franchises.
Oh, well, historically, this would be put a little salve on the wounds from back in 2015. So 10 years, 11 years
Seattle
later.
Can win it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I wanted you to have that history. Yeah, that's some drama in history that's there. I remember watching that. I mean, there's not a football fan in the world, even if you didn't pull for either team, you saw that and went, what the heck happened there? Anyway, so I thought that was fascinating, right?
Yes, and that leads into my second big question about the Super Bowl, which is, you're talking about a coaching error, right? In that game with that weird
I think it was a bad call. Absolutely, yeah.
So we've talked on the podcast a lot about how influential coaches are on a team. So who are the current coaches, especially since this is the first year, I guess, of both these coaches being?
Well, it's the second year for the Seattle's coach, first year for the
Patriots.
So yes, you're talking about coaching impact. You're right. So let's talk about we'll start first, I think, with let me find my part. Mike McDonald. So let's start with Seattle. This is his second year. And he was able to get rid of a quarterback and get Sam Darnold, which we're going to talk about quarterbacks in a minute, got him traded to their team. Mike McDonald, he's young. He's only 38 years old. This is his second year as a head coach. Prior to that, let me give you a stat before we talk about these two. You'll hear phrasing or talking about head coaches being defensive-minded or offensive-minded. The head coaches.
Okay.
Generally what that means is the defensive coach at one time, before they became a head coach, they were a defensive coach. They might start off as a linebacker coach or whatever, and then they became defensive coordinator, DC, defensive coordinators. But that's their line of tracking of coaching, right? They were on the defensive side of the ball, and they make it the head coach. So interesting enough, both these coaches are defensive coaches. They have tracked, they were always defensive coaches. First time in Super Bowl since 2015 that both coaches are from a defensive tree, from the defensive side of the ball. So it's kind of interesting. It's been 11 years since the last time you had both head coaches that are considered defensive coaches. Kind of interesting. Most people wouldn't care, but I think it's interesting. So Mike McDonald was, and he's young, he was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. So 2 years prior. And interesting enough, he never, if you look at him, you believe it, he never played football. He played high school football as a linebacker. And as soon as he went to college, he didn't play. He wasn't good enough, didn't play college, but he knew he wanted to coach. So he started coaching right after high school when he was going to college, trying to help on whatever team. I don't know what university he went to, but that's how he started his coaching career right after high school, trying to get into coaching. But he was never play, which I tell you that because the flip side is the other coach we're getting ready to talk about is very opposite of that, right? So that's Mike McDonald, very successful defense coordinators for 2 to 3 years. And that's why they took the risk of hiring. But I thought that's pretty cool to find out he never played past high school and he always wanted to be a coach. And he started that right during college. He started trying to become a coach. Now the flip, on the other side of the sideline, as they say, is complete opposite of that. They're both Mikes, right? So they're both Mikes. Mike Vrabel with a V, Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel. Okay.
Vrabel. Yep. Now Mike Vrabel, I've never had a hard time saying that in my life.
And you said the other side, but which team is Mike Vrabel coach of?
Patriots.
Okay, Patriots.
He is a former Patriot, so he was a professional football player for 14 years, and he was a vicious linebacker. So he's always been all defense. So when he started coaching, he became defense. So he came out of Ohio State. Again, think of the opposite track these two men have been on. So it shows you don't have to be a great NFL former player. A lot of former players aren't great coaches. But you could be somebody like who played high school up to high school ball, and that was it. You want to be a coach? Look at him. He's a head coach. There's only 32 jobs in the whole world that are head coaches in the NFL. There's a 38-year-old who's never played beyond high school football as a head coach. Pretty impressive, I think. Cool. But Vrabel is the opposite. He won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. He also played for the Steelers and the Chiefs. So he played for 3 different teams over his 14 years. He was all pro several years. So he was very successful, but he was very well known and instrumental in helping win 3 of those 6 Super Bowls. Half of them was when he played, and he was a star defensive player, linebacker. So he did that, and then he went into coaching. And the difference between him, he has got, so think about the experience here of Vrabel playing Ohio State 4 years, 14 years NFL player. So you're talking about elite playing for 18 years and then went into coaching. Wow. His coaching, interesting enough, he was highly successful for the first few years. He coached in Tennessee for the Tennessee Titans. And he was there, almost 10 years, I think, 9 years for the Titans. And he was, went in 2021. He was head coach of the year in the NFL in 2021. Whoa. With the Titans. What happened is he was 6 years there, head coach. I guess, they had a couple bad years toward the end, which I think they were stupid. The owner let him go. So he basically took a year off as an advisor to Cleveland or somebody. And then he knew the job he wanted. His dream was to be head coach of the Patriots. And sure enough, they had a coach that didn't do so well for his 1 or 2 years he tried, and they fired him and brought in Vrabel. So, and he flipped it in 1 year. Him and Drake May. He has a quarterback that's going to be and is already really good, but will probably be what they call a franchise quarterback and probably stay there for his entire career. And so they've matched up a great coach with a potentially and will be proven to be a great quarterback. And so what this is important. How can it happen? That's one thing to have this would be the second year May was there. So May was there the first year and he learned a lot, bumps and bruises, but Vrabel, what he was able to do. And of course he's so passionate about the Patriots anyway, but he was passionate about the Titans and did it there. He said they had to change the whole culture in the whole building. So that meant every employee in that whole Patriot organization, he felt responsible for getting. I mean, you got to see him. He is physically imposing guy still, but his passion and energy is so great. But it wasn't just the players or other coaches. It's everybody. It's whoever. Yeah. I wouldn't say high and low. It's just whatever different responsibilities. If you're the equipment guy, if you're those that prepare the food, if you're ones that clean the locker, it doesn't matter. His whole goal was to get everybody on board, all the recruiting, all the, analysts. It doesn't matter whatever your role was. He was going to personally have involvement in your life so that you would give your very best. And this is what the players, first of all, you can imagine having your new coach walk in and that's where the difference with Mike McDonald, he doesn't have that juice behind him where players look at him and go, yeah, he was a star in this league. I better listen to him. He didn't have that. So he has to be so brilliant. He's
not strutting around with 3 Super Bowl rings on his finger.
Right. So so to me, that gives me such great respect from McDonald, right? How he could do that, to be that good of a coach. Well, Vrabel is that good of a coach, and he had the juice behind him, right? The players. So, but he is a player coach. So if you watch him, and this started the very first preseason game, and every game coming in the tunnel after the game, well, going out and after, but after the game especially, he stands there and he gives these guys, it depends on which players they are or whatever. They all have their different way, but they generally hug, big hugs. I mean, he runs into them, hugs them, every player as they come out after the game in the tunnel, and especially that big wins, which they had a bunch of them this year, 14-3 or whatever they were. It's just so cool to see. You see the genuine love, respect, and affection that the players have back to him. You can just see how pumped they are. And some of them give a little, fist bump, hump, but he did it all year long. And he celebrated a couple times. They showed him on the sideline when he do that big hug, comes away with a bloody lip because he hits them in the face and they got their masks on from their helmets. I mean, that kind of intense passion and loyalty, he flipped that program around in 1 year. 1 year. Wow. And here they are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So think about that for both teams. Pretty remarkable. But this is now a few things had to bounce their way. It's the way it is every year. Whoever gets in the Super Bowl, you got to have a few lucky bounces along the way. And they did have a few. But how cool is that? So those are 2 completely different head coaches. They're both defensive. That's the only thing they have in common. They're both defensive head coaches. They come from a defensive coaching tree, if you will. Backgrounds.
Cool.
But they could not be more different. And Vrabel's 50 years old versus 38. Anyway, so I think it's so cool. And I love the story of both coaches.
Yeah. That's kind of like my industry where creative directors either came from a art direction line or a copywriting line. So they're either, your creative director could be, creative director is a more general managerial position creatively, but it's kind of like how a head coach has to be, generally overseeing the whole team. But I get what you mean, how you can have a certain mindset. You specialize in a thing before, and you're going into a broader thing. So interesting. It'll be interesting to see how those teams clash together. Have they played this season, the Patriots and Seahawks?
No, because that's because that's the NFC and the AFC. So 2 different conferences. You stay away from each other until you get to the Super Bowl.
Okay. So that's that's very cool.
Yeah.
So
they have not played.
That'll be interesting to see them go against each other.
So those are the coaches.
Great. Okay. We've gone a little long, so it's because I indulged in too much sports speak earlier, but let's talk really briefly about just who the quarterbacks are, what are their names, and just a little couple tidbits if you get
real quick, because the time is. But these are big. So QB, both have great stories too. So this will be the most I take time. Other than that, I'll give you a couple of quick answers that you had. But they're both worth telling a story, and especially your brother Keaton, I think is always. He's so mad that the Panthers traded Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold, quick history, and this
wait.
now him and
who does Sam Darnold play for?
Well, he's the Patriot. I mean, excuse me, he's the Seattle Seahawks QB. Okay. Is that what you needed? So he's Seattle's QB, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was the 3rd overall draft pick, first round, 3rd pick overall in 2018. He went to where all new quarterbacks go and die. He went to the Jets, and they sucked and they handled him poorly. They didn't help him grow. He flamed out. And he came from USC. He wasn't a Heisman Trophy winner, but he was in the Heisman race. He was raw in some ways, but he should have been great. But they messed his mind up. He had such 2 or 3 bad years there. And then he bounced around. He went to the Panthers, and he was doing pretty well at times, but the Panthers let him go. He then went to the 49ers. And it was good for the 49ers because he sat behind good quarterbacking and got to learn from their great coach to the great system, kind of healing, right? Kind of healing and learning but didn't get really to play much, right? And then he went to the Vikings last year, and I mean, so he suffered.
I forget they're even a team.
The Vikings, and he won. He had the season of his life. He'd learned. He got with a great offensive-minded coach, and he went 14-3 with the Vikings. He turned them around, and they were awesome and made the playoffs. He had a couple bad games in the playoffs, the way things went, and all of a sudden they're saying, "Oh, that's the old Sam Darnold." Well, there's no way. He played so well, and he looked so good. He's grown and learned so much. But that's where that smart coach and heading into his second year in Seattle, they got rid of their other quarterback and brought in Darnold. Got the ownership to bring in Arnold, and he's been great this year. He is what turned them around, is having great quarterback play. He's been great.
Cool.
So that's his story. So it's a redemption story for him.
Cool.
Right? Yeah. I mean, he was left for, quote, football dead. and team like the Panthers, they weren't great. They suffered and they stunk it up, and they let them go. In some ways, how stupid were they? The Vikings were the most stupid. And by the way, the general manager who did this trade last year, he just got fired at the end of the season.
Oh, man.
They're not happy with what he did. So they're out. But so that's one quarterback. Cool story. Right. You got to pull for him. Keaton and I both have been pulling for him. Just see him be successful. We think it's cool.
But I know you like the Patriots quarterback too.
I got to, right? So here's the story real quick. Drake May is from Huntersville, North Carolina. His father played at UNC, football at UNC, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, the Tar Heels. Yeah. Our hated rivalry that we grew up with. But he played there. Once they leave North Carolina and go pros and things, we'll pull for them, right? It's just not when they're playing NC State. This is so Drake May is the youngest of 4 sons. All 4 are great athletes in their own way. But Drake is the youngest. So apparently 2 of his brothers, his older brother Luke May, the oldest, won a national championship on the basketball team at UNC. So he has a national championship ring that he likes to keep showing Drake. His next older brother won a baseball national championship at the University of Florida.
No way.
Are these some good athletes or whatever? And Bo, his other brother, didn't have quite that success, but did walk on at Carolina and play Carolina basketball. So Drake is the only one who played football in college. But Drake could have played basketball in college also. Unbelievable athlete. But apparently he's the most fiercely competitive of all 4, maybe being the little brother. You know, he was always having to scratch and claw against the older brothers because it sounded like they had a broom. So real quick, Mac Brown, the second time he coached UNC just a few years ago, was recruiting Drake May and felt like as a quarterback, right? And felt like he had a good shot because they're close family friends. Mac Brown and his dad and all of them. He felt like he had a great shot at bringing Drake over to Carolina. Carolina
Yeah.
wasn't doing too good. They weren't anything. They were struggling. They had some struggling years, and not much less ranked or anything in the country. So Drake was one of the top sought after quarterbacks out of high school. So he was Mac Brown. I just heard him tell this story to on the talk show this past weekend. Marty and McGee, which are both Southerners. One's from Virginia, one's from North Carolina. Great show on the ESPN talk show. Love those guys. They're everywhere, all over ESPN. Anyway, and they're all country sounding. That's a great. They got hillbilly highlights or something every week. It's hilarious.
Okay.
But anyway, they had Mac Brown on the radio on the show, right? I heard it on ESPN, and he was telling the story of recruiting him. And he said, I felt like, I told him everything. I wasn't sure. It felt like we might have him. So he called me. He said, I was playing golf. He called me. I interrupted my golf game. He said, Coach, and again, thinking this is really a family friend. He said, I'm sorry. And Coach Brown said, I was pumped. I knew he's getting ready to tell me he's signing with us. Then he said the words, I'm sorry. I'm going to Alabama.
Oh,
so Mac Brown was older and much more mature. This is the second round. He's in his 60s. So he said, all right, Drake, he talked to him like one of his sons. Somebody said, I can see that. Let me help you think in the future. He said, now, you know how your parents and family have stayed in North Carolina, all the North Carolina roots, and your brothers have charitable organizations in North Carolina. And he said, and they all live around Charlotte, Huntersville. They all live around here. It's where all your family is. And Mac Brown's got a good old Southern accent. All your family's there. You tell me when you get through playing football, you think you're going to make your home in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or in Charlotte, North Carolina, where all your family is and your friends are. And all your deep roots for generations. He said he just went all deep into the family in North Carolina. And in the end, he flipped and came to Carolina, even though Carolina didn't have a chance to win a national championship. So the irony is Carolina didn't have a snowball chance in heck to win a national championship during that period of time, even though he came and he improved the team, but he did not get the national championship ring like his two brothers, right? So what Mac Brown, he talks to Drake all the time, all of them, but he told him, he said, all right. He told him this past week, he said, you got your chance. He said, you win this ring, you can take that big old fat Super Bowl ring and shove it right in your brother's faces and tell them that they don't have anything like your ring. So that's the family backstory to this crazy, beautiful thing of the May family. I mean, Brown called them there's a sports family in North Carolina. I mean, they really are broad reaching talent, how much they've done. So I thought it was a really cool backstory to that and about his brothers winning the national championship. But if he gets that Super Bowl ring, he'll have it on all his older brothers.
Yeah. And so early in his career, right? Like
sure.
how long has he been in the NFL?
Second year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's amazing.
So that's the story of your quarterbacks. So choose which story you like. I'm having a hard time pulling for one, but I'm going to probably pull for the North Carolina boy, just because I got to, and I feel best about that. But I love
you have kind of sold me on both. Daggone. So I gotta go think on that. And I think I had a couple more questions, but we're gonna wrap them up. And Dad, for those of you who don't know, my dad's coming out to Utah here for the weekend to visit for a few days. So maybe we'll answer some of my last questions just on our Instagram story. So follow us there, and we'll do a little little tidbits.
Do you want to do our prediction on then and put that out there then?
Let's do our official prediction on who's going to win, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
We're going to do that tonight, or are we going to do that during our... let's do it then.
Okay, we'll do it in person. We'll do it in person here in Utah.
Yeah.
So until then, you guys can wait with bated breath. Send us your predictions too. We'll do a poll on Instagram and send out a couple,
that'd be great. Yeah.
We'll send out some fun facts this week.
Pick the winner and the score.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
That makes it fun.
Well, sounds good. I am going to let you guys go, but Dad, thank you so much for another great Super Bowl prep episode for 2026 Super Bowl 60. Everybody get ready for the Winter Olympics this weekend, as well as Seahawks versus Patriots, and we will see you next week. All right, Dad. Talk to you later.
Yeah, good job, Coop. Love you.
All right, love you. Bye.
SportSense.